Its past self is dead. Logan, it was once called, but no more. We have taken to calling it by a nickname, seemed fitting, lived, died, and born again as we choose. It will be cold-blooded, relentless, merciless. We call it our winter soldier. Quote, Dr. Alona Kosovich. In order to maintain control of their corner of the Maker's world, three members of his council, Magik, Colossus, and Omega Red deploy their most lethal asset, the Winter Soldier. But who is the weapon behind the mask? Ultimate Wolverine, Issue 1. A diabolical genius known as the Maker used time travel to create his ideal Earth by systematically preventing anyone from ever becoming a superhero and by establishing a secret council of supervillains, the Maker's Council, that rules the world from the shadows. The Eurasian Republic ruled with an iron fist by the ruthless triad of Pyotr Rasputin, Colossal, his sister Ilyana Rasputin, Magik, and Arkady Raosevich, Omega Red, has become one of the two places in the world for all known mutant activity. The trio have created Directorate X, a secret division of the government that seeks to exploit the unique genetic powers exhibited in mutant kind, headed by Dr. Alona Provokovich. But no power exists without its checks and balances. A covert group called the Opposition arose to free mutants from experimentation and Republic control. Near the border of the Eurasian Republic and Latvian airspace, soldiers whisper among themselves, believing the specimen cannot hear them. One soldier asks, "You think he can hear us?" Another responds, "Why don't you ask?" "I'm not asking anything. He creeps me out," one mutters. "I heard he was part of some experiment gone wrong in the North American Union. They say he's not even a man at all, just a patchwork of corpses from soldiers who died in combat. And he can't die. They blow him up, stab him, and shoot him. He always comes back exactly the same as before." The specimen stands up and the other soldiers are terrified. They initially think it's going to kill them, but it has more important things to worry about. In a move reminiscent of Captain America and the Winter Soldier, it jumps out of the plane without a parachute. One soldier exclaims, "We did it. What is he going to do? He doesn't even have a chute." The specimen jumps out of the plane, leaving the soldiers in shock, plummeting straight down like a rocket. One soldier says he looks like a survivor as gravity pulls him faster towards the ground, hurtling downward without a parachute. There was some kind of skirmish, presumably tied to the mission he was sent on, where he emerged as the lone survivor. Unfortunately, he was hunted down by these men and shot directly in the head. He almost, like an unstoppable force, rarely does anyone ever gain the upper hand on him. Interestingly, in the Ultimate series, Reed Richards was manipulated by the Maker and transformed into Doom, while Sergeant Nick Fury in Ultimate Year 1 was shot in the head in 1944 and later turned to do the Maker's bidding as a spy. Meanwhile, we see the Wolverine hurtling closer and closer to the ground. The specimen crash lands at the site, breaking through the moonlight sky. When he appears, the soldier mistaken for a Republic missile, debris, or even a satellite falling from orbit. One soldier shouts, "But it's coming right at us. Take cover," as the specimen slams into the ground. The guards can't see a thing, though the snow kicked up from the impact, but they hear something too late to react. The specimen slashes through them, leaving nothing but the glowing eyes of the specimen's claws drawn and blood staining the scene. The specimen's target is Mystique and Nightcrawler. Mystique commands, "Soldiers, arm yourselves," as the specimen's claws tear through the walls. Nightcrawler shouts, "Brothers and sisters, leave now." We pick up at the end of Ultimate Year 1, Issue 1, where an experiment led to the creation of the specimen. The specimen is Logan, a mutant from North America Union who somehow found his way to the Eurasian Republic, though unknown means. Little else is known about his past, though he was apparently subjected to unsuccessful experiments conducted by the North American Union. Dr. Alona Provokovich remarks the specimen has not taken kindly to his cell. This is the same specimen responsible for the 5 airstrike opposition compound outside Rasputin grad. He survived a point-blank bullet to the temple and regenerated his entire body in record time. He even had the strength to kill the soldier who shot him. Omega Red responds, impressive. I think I like him. Dr. Alona Provovovich continues. The subject originates from the North American Union, like some of their other opposition forces. However, it hasn't spoken a word since we brought it to Moscow. We have attempted skeletal enhancement before, as you know, Colossus interjects, and we cannot permit another such failure, Doctor. Dr. Provovovich reassures. I don't think you need to worry, not with this specimen. Magik says, it seems wild. Dr. Alona responds, for now, yes, but what the specimen has that others lack is simple instinct. He's a survivor. For example, when we tried to administer a sedative 4 times, we lost the technicians. Colossus says, then it cannot be controlled. The specimen is useless. Dr. Prasovovich counters, with all due respect, dear leaders, I think you forgot. It is not only the specimen we have here. Magik interjects. You mean the telepath? This must mean Jean Grey or Professor Xavier. Dr. Pavlovich nods and says, for starters, yes. Once we have it under control, I do not think the opposition will be a problem much longer, and that is quite useful. In America, they had the Weapon X program, and the Soviets responded in kind when they created Department X. Department X was largely KGB initiative, and that's what gave us the likes of the Black Widows from the Red Room. This is the ultimate version of Department X and the Red Room merged together. The specimen rips open the doors and cracks his neck. Nightcrawler says, I know that man. Raven, I know him. But Mystique doesn't listen and shouts to the guards, fire! As the animal is unleashed, Nightcrawler knows what's coming. He knows the specimen. Nightcrawler says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, as he prays, knowing that death is coming. The specimen shows no care for who stands in the way, while his focus is on his target. Everyone else in his path is massacred, torn apart piece by piece. Wolverine kills relentlessly, cutting down more and more. As the specimen slices through the guards, Nightcrawler simply prays. Mystique flees as Wolverine chases after her, using his heightened senses of smell to track her. As he follows her scent, one of the council makers appears. It's Colossus. But Wolverine pauses, sniffing the air again, sensing that something is off. Something isn't right. This is not Colossus. This is Mystique, and the specimen knows it. Mystique is terrified because the Ultimate Wolverine is a relentless killer. As he closes in on her with his animanian claws, she tries to fight back. She throws a knee, kick, and in desperation pulls out a gun, firing multiple shots at Wolverine while shouting, die. The Ultimate Wolverine leaps through the air, slicing off the tip of Mystique's gun, rendering it useless. In a swift, brutal motion, he slashes her neck, not Colossus's, but the shape-shifting Mystique. She gasps for air, struggling as Wolverine's claws have just torn through her throat. The Ultimate Wolverine walks away, leaving Mystique to bleed to death. He stands amidst the carnage, surrounded by lifeless bodies of his victims. Then he turns his gaze to Nightcrawler, who is now in serious trouble. We then flash back to the time when Wolverine was being experimented on. Dr. Kostovich observes the specimen is sedated, but not fully sedated. It's under control. Precautions are in place. Its mind is empty. Ours for the molding. The doctor continues, its memories have been wiped completely. It won't even know its own name. But that instinct, its survival instinct, will remain. You won't find another specimen like it, close perhaps, but this one is truly unique. She adds, its past self is dead. It was once called Logan, but no more. We've taken to call it by a nickname that seemed fitting. Lived, died, and born again as we choose. It will be cold-blooded, relentless, merciless. We call it the Winter Soldier. We return to Nightcrawler, who says, if you are who I think you are, no, I know it's you. I don't know what they've done to you, but this isn't you. It's me, Kirk. I beg you, please. Kirk throws a container in desperation, but Wolverine simply pierces it with his claws. Kurt Wagner, please. I do not wish to fight, Nightcrawler says. I am sorry as he teleports away. Wolverine takes a few swings, but Nightcrawler bamps again, reappearing and striking Wolverine, sending him crashing through a glass window. Nightcrawler picks up a gun and says, forgive me, but I do what I must. The Nightcrawler is a survivor willing to kill if necessary. He teleports around, firing shots at Wolverine, the Winter Soldier. Even though Nightcrawler is constantly teleporting in and out while shooting, Wolverine predicts where Nightcrawler will teleport next and drives his claws through him, ultimately killing him. When Nightcrawler teleports, he emerges with a distinct charcoal burn smell. With Wolverine's heightened senses, it makes it perfect sense that he can track Nightcrawler's movements, determine where he's about to reappear, and react quickly enough to take him down. A dying Nightcrawler says, "If you're in there, my friend, I pray you have the strength. I'm sorry we weren't quick enough. We came back. We always came back for you." As Nightcrawler slips away, blood pouring out, the Winter Soldier just stands there silent, not saying a word. Nightcrawler dies, and it is revealed that the older Wolverine was once part of the resistance in Eurasia. What we know from Earth 616 is that there is a council that rules the world, and the Maker is making his return. Resistant forces exist all over the world, fighting a war of attrition. However, they are up against an endless forces, leaving them with little chance of victory. So what was the Winter Soldier's mission? His goal was to eliminate the traditional X-Men, to destroy the resistance, which was led by the X-Men. So far, we've known he has already taken out Mystique and Nightcrawler. We also know the Maker has brainwashed Nick Fury as well as Reed Richards, transforming him into Doom. We see haunting images of Wolverine walking past the lifeless bodies of soldiers. But who is Wolverine's enemy? The Maker, the Maker's Council, the X-Men, the Resistance? He is no longer Wolverine. He is the Winter Soldier. A Eurasian general says, "They are dirty, they are cowards, they are rogue, but we have one thing in common. We both know how to fight. The difference is we know how to win." Look at these two who escaped 2 years ago from Earth's Berlin camp. They could have been part of a solution, like you, part of history, giving themselves, their bodies, and their abilities for the Republic. Instead, they choose to run away. But not you. You are a fighter. You, my friend, aren't just part of history. No, you are history. We move to the airplane during the extraction of the Winter Soldier. He sniffs the blood on his hands and stares at his mask, lost in thought. Could the Winter Soldier be starting to remember fragments of his past? Could Dr. Prostovovich and the mutant telepath have failed to completely wipe out all of his memories? Is the Winter Soldier beginning to remember who he once was? Logan. Nightcrawler narrates, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in the green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadows of death, I will fear no evil." Next, Ultimate Wolverine, Volume 1, Issue 2.